friends, welcome back to Food Prep Guide. Have you ever looked at those perfect gardens in magazines and wondered what you're doing wrong? You are not alone. I spent years struggling with dying plants, failed harvests, and wasted money on expensive products that did not deliver the results that they promised. And today, many people don't realize this, but we are battling AI-generated content in the gardening world in a way that I have never seen before. Of course, AI is pretty new, so it makes sense that I've never seen it like this before, but it is becoming a really big problem and a pet peeve of mine. I am so tired of seeing so-called gardening hacks that are AI generated going viral online with tens of thousands of shares, and they do not work. And some of them can actually be detrimental in the garden, not simply just not working, but downright detrimental. So today I want to share 10 unconventional garden hacks that have completely transformed my garden. These quick strategies are human generated, tested, and proven to actually work. The best part is that many of these tips use items that you already have lying around your house, or they can be bought for just a few dollars. In fact, the 8th hack repurposes literal trash to keep ants out of your garden beds, and hack number 9 doubled my tomato harvest last year. Stay tuned and we'll cover all 10 tips in detail. Let's get started. If you would like help planning a productive garden, scroll down to the description box of this video and click this link for a free garden printable. We calculated quantities for a year's supply of the most common garden vegetables and organized them into a neat chart to help you plan. We'll send it straight to your inbox. If you're new here, we invite you to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming tutorials on gardening and food preservation, food storage, and more. First is a way to turn Dollar Tree plastic vases into mini greenhouses using a method called no transplant winter sowing. For about $1.25 each, these plastic vases become like little miniature greenhouses when flipped upside down. Here's how it works. First, you will drill several small hole drainage holes in the bottom of the container. Then drill one hole on the side of it, and this is where you're going to insert a garden staple to secure it to the ground. Choose your planting location, plant 2 to 3 seeds per spot to account for lower germination rates. Position the container directly over the seeds and insert a garden staple through that side hole that you made and push that staple firmly into the ground to anchor the container. Rain will enter through the drainage holes that you drilled, and sunlight will create a condensation inside that container, creating almost like a self-watering greenhouse effect. You will still need to water from time to time, especially if there's no rain in your area for several days straight. Once the danger of frost has passed, you can remove the containers, and your seedling should be a few inches tall by now. This hack creates a great microclimate for germination, and the best part is you don't have to transplant the seedlings later. They're already planted right where you want them to grow. This does work best for cool weather crops. I wouldn't do this with something like tomatoes or peppers unless if I were to only get maybe a 2-week head start, I might consider doing this for tomatoes. But this really is best for things that you could plant in early spring, like kale and lettuce, broccoli, cauliflower, any of your cruciferous vegetables, any of your lettuce, salad greens, and that sort of thing. This trick works excellently for. Okay, hack number 2 is about carrots and getting those carrot seeds to germinate, which can be very difficult and frustrating. But this quick tip solves that problem using items you likely already have. The idea is to plant the seeds like you normally would, but then cover them with old feed bags, cardboard, or even a piece of plywood. This keeps the soil consistently moist and prevents the tiny seeds from washing away when you water or whenever it rains. After about 7 to 10 days, check underneath your cover, whatever kind of covering you choose, and once the majority of the sprouts have broken ground, you can remove the covering and then just proceed with plant care as usual. This has worked fantastic for me. It took me my 3rd year of trying to grow carrots before I actually got a carrot harvest because I could not get them to germinate. But now, piece of wood, some cardboard, some old feed bags, I just use whatever I have on hand, and we've been able to grow carrots successfully since then. Hack number 3 is for those of you who have struggled with ants in your garden, and you don't need any nasty or expensive chemicals to do this. What you'll do is take an empty drink bottle, like a Gatorade bottle is what we typically use, and make a simple solution of 1 cup of water, a 1/4 cup of sugar, and a tablespoon or 2 of borax. Mix it all together and put it in the bottle. Then using a drill, screw holes into the lid and then secure the lid to the bottle. Lay the bottle flat on the ground near any ant trails or problem areas. The ants are attracted to the sugar and they'll take the mixture back to their colony, and the borax eliminates the entire hill. This costs pennies compared to store-bought solutions and can be much more effective without harming your plants. I will say that this doesn't really work well on fire ants. This really, I have found, works excellently for like black ants. Okay, so hack number 4 is simply a recommendation to use concrete blocks as raised beds because of their built-in ability to easily companion plant. Standard concrete blocks cost about $2 to $3 each and create an instant raised bed when arranged in a rectangle. But the hack is thanks to the holes in the blocks. You can fill the holes with soil and plant flowers or herbs there. I recommend sweet alyssum, nasturtiums, or herbs like chives and oregano. These attract beneficial insects and deter pests, creating a natural protective border for your vegetables. I think this is multifunctional gardening at its best, structure and pest control in one. Now, I know someone might wonder and might have a question about, aren't concrete blocks toxic? That idea comes from cinder blocks that were made decades ago with fly ash. And those types of cinder blocks made with fly ash are, they're toxic in the sense that you wouldn't want to grow food on them or near them. But modern day concrete blocks do not use fly ash anymore. There might be some companies who still sell true cinder blocks, and they're called cinder because they have ash in them, like cinders from a fire. But as far as I know, the vast majority of blocks today are concrete, true concrete blocks. So it's not an issue as long as it's a true concrete block and not a cinder block. So just want to throw that out there. Okay, hack number 5 has absolutely transformed the way I garden because I can now fit much more in less space. It is essentially creating a trellis out of a cattle panel, like the type of fencing people would use on their property to keep cows in. A standard 16-foot cattle panel costs around $25 to $30 at farm supply stores. But it creates an incredibly strong and long-lasting trellis that can support very heavy vegetables, or even long and sprawling vines. You just shape it into an arch like an upside-down U and secure each side to either... I have used 3-foot rebar in the past. That's what I currently am using, but I've also used really short T-posts. So just whatever you have on hand or whatever you can get most inexpensively, just use that. You basically just need some to drive either some rebar or a T-post about a foot into the ground. That will allow you to have 2 to 3 feet above ground to secure that trellis to with zip ties. Then you can plant tomatoes, cucumbers, pole beans, or squash at the base, and they'll grow up and over the arch. This creates better air circulation, which can reduce fungal disease, easier harvesting at standing height, more ground space for additional plants underneath, and a beautiful garden feature that produces massive yields. I harvested twice as many tomatoes using this method because the plants had more support and better sun exposure, and I didn't lose quite as many to the fungal disease like I usually do because I am in the hot and humid south, and we deal with major disease pressure on our tomatoes. Love, love, love our cattle panel trellises. Okay, hack number 6 is don't throw away last year's potting soil. Old potting soil isn't bad as in the spoiled sense. It's just depleted of nutrients. Instead of buying all new, simply amend it with more nutrients. These can come from things like compost, aged manure, chicken coop cleanout if you raise chickens, or any kind of other organic matter. Mix it 50-50 with your old soil, and it's as good as new for a fraction of the cost. Hack number 7 is to create an inexpensive, I'm going to call it a polytunnel, to protect your cruciferous vegetables from cabbage worms naturally. If you've ever tried to grow cabbage, kale, broccoli, you know how eaten up they get, and it's because the cabbage moth lays eggs on their leaves, which then hatch into hungry cabbage worms. To make these tunnels, all you need is 1 foot sticks of rebar, approximately 4 foot sections of irrigation tubing, and insect netting, or even something cheap like tulle fabric. You'll drive the rebar into the ground on either side of your row or raised bed and bend the irrigation tubing over it to create a hoop. Slip the ends of the tube over the rebar and cover with netting. Secure the netting with rocks, or you can even bury it in the soil or anything else that you have lying around. This physical barrier prevents moths from laying eggs on your plants in the first place, and therefore no cabbage worms and no chemicals needed. Hack number 8 is a simple way to control squash bugs by targeting them at the egg stage. Squash bugs can devastate your zucchini and squash plants. The trick to controlling them is to check the undersides of the leaves regularly for their distinct bronze-colored egg clusters. What I do is take a piece of duct tape, wrap it around my hand, sticky side up, and press it against the eggs and then pull away. The eggs stick to the tape, and then you can dispose of them before they hatch. This simple method has saved countless squash plants in my garden. Hack number 9 is going to allow you to enjoy more of your tomato harvest by simply picking tomatoes early, like as soon as the slightest blush of color is on them. Depending on how long you've been gardening, this might seem like either common sense or even counterintuitive, but there is so much emphasis on the internet and even in grocery store marketing about picking tomatoes at peak ripeness. But contrary to popular belief, tomatoes don't need to ripen on the vine. Picking them at the very first sign of color and letting them ripen indoors accomplishes 2 things. Number 1, it protects them from pests, birds, and cracking from rain. And number 2, it actually signals the plant to produce more fruit. I increased my harvest significantly with this simple timing change, and I can't tell a flavor difference at all in the tomatoes. Our final hack turns fall leaves into garden gold. In the fall, gather leaves and stuff them into black trash bags. Sprinkle with just a little bit of water inside and then tie up the trash bag. Then simply store them in a sunny area of your yard all winter long. That's it. You don't have to do anything else. The heat from the sun will speed up the decomposition, and since the trash bag is black, it kind of concentrates it, makes it even hotter in there. And by spring or early summer, you will have rich leaf mold compost that can cost anywhere between $5 and $10 at the garden centers. This set it and forget it method creates a wonderful mulch and soil amendment without any work beyond the initial collection of the leaves. That is all. That is 10 frugal garden hacks that actually work in real gardens, not just in theory. I have tested and proven each one of these. Each of these methods has saved me money and improved my garden's productivity for sure. That's all for today. I hope that was helpful, and we'll see you next time. Bye.